What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm JP, and we're gonna try to talk Sting and Ric Flair. It's gonna be difficult. The feud is kind of hard to discuss. There's really nothing about the feud that besides matches that none of you are really gonna pick up on. So I'm gonna do my best to try to give you the highlights of the feud, and then ask questions to the panel. Even though it's a limited panel tonight, it's just me, Heather, and Bobbit. So, yeah, we're going to do our best, and I'm going to just talk about the feud. Fucking Ric Flair, man. I'm telling you, Ric Flair, he's that guy. Everybody sits there and fucking says. They can talk about fucking Roman Reigns being shoved down your throat and all this shit, but, man, WCW loved them some Ric fucking Flair. Tell you that much. But justifiably so. Look at March. I want to say it was March 26th of 1988 when Sting and Ric Flair had their first match at the first Clash of Champions. I remember distinctly, and Ric Flair even stated, "Give me Sting. You put me in a ring with Sting, and I will make him." That night, Sting was a made man. Sting became a main eventer because of Ric Flair. That match went to a 45-minute draw, and the judges, they even had judges in this match. And I'll go over the storyline as far as their beginning of their feud. Ric Flair said, "Give me Sting. I will make a star out of him." Ric Flair put Sting, and he was a booker at the time, put him in matches, and I mean, my God, Sting had potential because his very first match, when he debuted at Great American Bash, I think, with the Fabulous Freebirds in a six-man tag team match, and I can't remember who it was against.
Hold on. It was.
I want to say Rick Steiner was in that match too.
It was the
Mike Rotunda, Rick Steiner. I can't remember. But anyway, I'll let Heather find it. But anyway, the feud. Just a little history on Sting here. Ric Flair had already been established. And Ric Flair was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know how many title runs he had had. So he had already been established. Well, he needed somebody as a babyface to track along with him. He had Dusty Rhodes. He had Ron Garvin. But he wanted a young babyface that he could feud with. And I think they had, if we counted it, they had 90-some matches where they were against each other, whether it be tag team or whether it be one-on-one. Just give me a second. It was Starrcade 1987. He was in a six-man tag match with the Fabulous Freebirds. I don't know who. They don't say who the match was against. I'd have to go back and watch it, but I want to say Rick Steiner was in it, and a couple other guys. Okay. Are you sure it wasn't the Magnificent?
Yeah, it was that guy that won the tuxedo with the cover bun.
With the cover bun.
Yeah. To the ring as part of his gimmick, because he was that good looking.
I don't know.
I gotta look through that list of matches there. Hold on.
But anyway, so yes, so from there he went on to face Ric Flair, and he challenged Ric Flair. If I remember correctly, he was added to the Four Horsemen first.
Yes.
And then he was kicked out of the Four Horsemen. And then he ultimately challenged Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight title. They had the match at not at Great American Bash, Clash of the Champions, which was going up against WrestleMania 4. It went head to head with WrestleMania 4, and that match, besides, was the only match that it was put on TBS. It was Clash of Champions back then, was a 2.5 hour like pay-per-view essentially. Title never really very seldomly changed hands there, but they had some really good matches. Some pay-per-view matches. Sting Ric Flair was a pay-per-view match. 45-minute draw they came to. And that's where their feud started, and their feud just went from there and grew. This feud lasted 3 decades, everybody. 3 decades. Or close to 3 decades. They're over 30 years, almost over 30 years. Can you imagine a feud lasting that long and still having steam behind it? Name me one feud that lasted 30 years and still had steam behind it after that 30th year. Bobbit, can you name a feud? Yeah, you can't. And every time those two met in the ring, it was there were some high stakes. High stakes in almost every time that they wrestled. Whether it be for a number one contendership, whether it be for the World Heavyweight Championship, or anything like that. 30 years. Can you imagine? We don't see that today. We don't see those kinds of feuds. Where, my God, 2011 was the last time they faced each other in TNA, and that feud still had steam behind it for them to do it. And it worked. I don't know what else to say. What?
Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard versus Nikita Koloff and Sting. It was for the tag team championships. Great American Bash 1988.
Oh, okay. It was Starrcade 87. I'm sorry. It was right. I read the thing. It was Starrcade 87. But he and Sting and Ric Flair, are really good friends in real life. But they never broke kayfabe. They never hung out. They probably did, just not in public. But they had such great chemistry. Sting came in as the California Surfer dude. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Eddie Gilbert, Larry Zbyszko, and Rick Steiner
There you
versus
go.
Jimmy Garvin, Michael Hayes, and Sting.
Yep, the opening match of Starrcade 87, and Sting took off from there. People were excited to see Sting. Sting came in, put on a great match. But ultimately, that's where Ric Flair said, "Give me Sting, and I will make a fucking star out of him." And he did. Sting has even said so himself. If it was not for Ric Flair, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So there you go. Heather? I mean, we can talk about all their big matches. Great American Bash 1991. If you go back to it, I think that was the one where Sting beat Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight title. Now, there was in 1990, Sting had tore his knee up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was at the Great American Bash. And he tore it up the year before because of the Four Horsemen, even though that they didn't do it on purpose, but he got hurt. And they did the storyline that the Four Horsemen took him out for a year because, they didn't want Sting. Sting was a thorn in Ric Flair's side, storyline-wise. And that's what Ric Flair wanted. He wanted Sting to be a thorn in his side. He wanted to be his sidekick.
You said 91?
Yeah.
That was Sting and Abdullah the Butcher defeated Brian Pillman and Bobby Eaton for
It was Great American Bash.
Tag Team.
Great American Bash 1990 then. It was 90 or 91. But anyway, So Ric Flair, and that's when Lex Luger got thrown in there because he was the next top baby face. So they ended up putting them two together, and Sting came back. I can't remember if he came back and saved. It was Great American Bash '90. Ryan said came back and saved Lex Luger, and I can't, if I remember correctly, came back and saved Lex Luger. Can you get her, please? Now I lost my train of thought.
Lex Luger.
What the fuck was I talking about?
Him getting the World Championship match because of Sting getting hurt.
Well, he came back. He was ultimately supposed to be a Great American Bash. I think the year before, he was supposed to be built at Starrcade to face Ric Flair, but it ended up they ended up doing Lex Luger because he was the next baby face in line. Yes, you are right. Flair did not want to drop the title to Luger, but they needed a feud to get through until Sting could get back. So what?
In '91 for Great American Bash was Lex Luger and Barry Windham for the vacated.
1990, I said. It was 1990. Brian already put it in the chat. It was 1990. So they built up the storyline to where Sting came back, and it was a great that match right there. I think that was Sting's first world title run, if I remember correctly. No, it wasn't. It was not. But it was the first time that Sting beat Ric Flair for the title, if I remember correctly. And so, yeah. That feud, if you have not watched Ric Flair and Sting matches, you need to go and watch them. You want to see fucking wrestling at its best? Go watch them too. Don't go back and watch the Stone Cold versus The Rock. It's good, but it's not as good as Sting and Ric Flair. And in my opinion, Sting and Ric Flair had some of the best matches wrestling has ever had. That 45-minute match, the Clash of Champions, phenomenal. The Great American Bash match that we were trying to figure out. The Black Scorpion storyline, which is ultimately it turned out to be Ric Flair. That was great. Great storyline. Great storyline. In fact, I think that's where Sting hurt his leg, I think. No, that's not where he hurt his leg.
No, it was just before he hurt his leg.
Yeah. Sting was world champion at the time.
Yeah,
and
the storyline of that was great, but the execution wasn't the best.
No.
Because they made the Black Scorpion seem like a fucking magician.
True. Bobbit. I don't know how much Sting versus Flair you've watched. Where the fuck did my phone go?
I don't know. Did you leave it in the bathroom?
No. Whatever. This is just a giant shit show. I don't know where my phone went. You have the network. Do you have the network? You should watch one. Watch the very first match. I'm telling you. It's better than it's one of the better matches you'll see. And you'll see how good Ric Flair really was.
Ryan says Black Scorpion stuff was after Sting got back.
Well, he was world champion at one of the matches. If I remember correctly, he wrestled. Sting was world champion. Because I think Ric Flair had to leave or something like that. I don't know any. That I don't really know that much about it. At the time, that's the international heavyweight title. That's when Ric Flair left,
Mhm.
and they had to do something because he took the title with him. So he took the title, and he did, yeah.
He shelled out the money to own that title, so
Yeah.
that's why he took it with him.
So yeah. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Sorry. I have this. Tried finding stuff. The only thing I can talk about is some of the match, the 45-minute match that they had.
Which is fine.
I could sit here. I could watch it. I could talk about it. I could critique it. There's really nothing to critique because it was pretty much a flawless fucking match. That's how good the fucking match was. It was pretty much a flawless match. Again, not a 5-star match because I don't give 5-star matches. It was pretty much flawless though. What do you remember from the feud?
I just remember it being not just one of the longest, but also one of the best feuds WCW ever had.
I think one of the best feuds. I'm gonna go one further and say one of the best feuds wrestling's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Ric Flair. How many of his feuds are in the top 10? Probably all of them. I mean, good Lord. Sting's up there. Dusty Rhodes is up there. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is up there. Name me one person besides Hulk Hogan who has more top 10 feuds than Ric Flair. Sting, maybe.
Steve Austin.
Steve Austin. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but his feuds. I mean, long-running feuds. I'm talking like more than 2 years. Because how long was his feud? I mean, his feud with The Rock was 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
But really, him and Vince is the only other feud that was long-running. Him and Triple H only lasted a couple of years, and that didn't even they quit doing that storyline because he got hurt.
Right.
So yes, and you are totally correct, Ryan. Flair, he didn't call him out, but he's seen the potential with Steve Borden, who is Sting, and it was an honor for him to be called out essentially. And I don't think he owes Ric Flair his career.
No,
but
he owes Ric Flair for getting him the spotlight.
Yes, he owes Ric Flair, and he's paid Ric Flair back in his. Ric Flair, everybody sits here with the Flair family, and I'm gonna throw fucking Charlotte in there too. Everybody sits there and shits on this fucking family for no fucking reason. Just because Charlotte is in the position that she's in, and I'm not trying to talk about fucking the feud of today. I'm talking about Ric Flair here. But I'm throwing the Flair family in there. There's some talented motherfuckers. I mean, you look at fucking Charlotte. She's only been wrestling for how long? And you cannot tell me that she does not deserve to be battling for a title just about every time she wrestles. That woman is probably the best woman in that company right now.
Other than Asuka.
Well, that's arguable now. But
if you're going off of just pure talent, not storylines and
I'm going off of pure talent. She's better than Asuka. With as long, Asuka's been wrestling 10 times longer, or what, 16 years, 17 years? Charlotte's only been wrestling 7. And it's 7 years? Holy shit. She's the most talented woman wrestling has today. Sorry. I'm sorry. Everybody can sit there and fucking say, no, you're wrong. I'm not wrong. To be honest with you, I'm going to fucking throw this out there. If it wasn't for Charlotte, Becky wouldn't be shit.
Well, that's obvious.
Sorry. The Flair family, Ric Flair, by God, made so many people. I'm not saying Charlotte Flair makes people, but she is a good talent. She makes everybody else look good. Even though she wins all the time. She still makes those that she goes up against. Just saying. Just Ric Flair, man. I mean, this is turning into a Ric Flair rant. Ric Flair made that feud, and he made Sting look like the best in the world. Sting then carried on, and he made people as well. Probably not as good as Ric Flair, but I think that's how he paid back Ric Flair, was by doing what he did, what Flair did for him, helping put talent over. And that's what Sting was really good at. He has always been good at it. Even when he was young and young and new into the industry, oh my God, he was still really good. Mm-hmm. Like his first match, he was made, and that match right there, Ric Flair's like, give me that kid. I want to work with that kid. I'm gonna make a star out of him, and he did. And they feuded for nearly 30 fucking years. Again. In fact, it spanned 3 decades, but I think it was 23 years. 2011 was their last match, and in 1988 was their first match. It was 23 years. So it spanned 3 decades. So damn near 25 years was their feud. Wow. Wow. And like I said at the beginning, you name me one fucking feud that lasted longer than that feud. Name me one feud. And I hear crickets. You can't do it. This is one of the best feuds wrestling has ever had. If not the best. Match-wise, I would have to say Ric Flair Steamboat.
Yes.
Probably some of the best matches ever wrestling has ever had to offer. But as far as feud goes, this Sting Ric Flair feud always had me intrigued. To this day, I'm like, I gotta see. I ask Heather. I'm like, I want to see a Ric Flair Sting match. Anything with Sting. Sting was one of my favorite superstars growing up. In fact, he was by far my most favorite superstar growing up as a kid. Because I watched WCW when I was younger. Because we didn't get... WWF didn't put their shows on but for an hour. When Saturday night came on, they did a 2-hour show called World Championship Wrestling, which is on the network. And I used to sit down and watch that. Some of the best fucking wrestling was back in the 80s and early 90s. And it's sad to see that kind of wrestling has been forgotten. I don't care. I care for realism in my storylines. I don't like over-the-top cheesy bullshit like Hulk Hogan. As a kid, for kids, he's great. Because, he... Eat your vitamins, drink your milk, do all that other shit, and whatever. But as far as wrestling goes, WCW probably had some of the better wrestling and some of the better storytelling than WWF or WWE did. So, yeah. And that's, yes. In fact, the very first Monday Nitro, thank you, Trek, the very first Monday Nitro, I can't remember who was the world champion at the time, but that was not the main event. It was Sting Ric Flair. And Sting and Ric Flair was the main event for the last Monday Nitro, which WWF did very... So for everybody to sit there and say that Sting never came to WWE, he was there for one fucking night.
Yep.
The very last Monday Nitro show was run by the WWE. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. But that was the last time in WWE that these two faced. And then it's 2011. I can't remember. They faced off at TNA. And, yeah, them matches were really good. Really good. So, yeah. I mean, Sting and Flair probably, to me... And I say a lot of feuds I love, but this one here, I'm probably going to put right at the top as one of my favorite feuds of all time. I love the Sting, or the Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes feud. I loved the Austin Stone Cold feud. Those are probably my top 3 feuds of all time. Or did I say Rock? No, Vince. Stone Cold. Those are my top 3 feuds. It'd be 1A, 1B, 1C. I can't. Vince, Stone Cold.
You said feud. Austin, Stone
Cold. Whatever. Austin, Vince feud. Sting, Dusty Rhodes feud. And the Sting, Ric Flair feud. And the Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair feud are my top 3. Right there. I mean, you could put Ric Flair and Big Van Vader in there. He had a nice feud with him.
Yes, Ryan, that was...
Yeah, we watched that. It was I can't remember. He was pushed into the fucking cage and all that shit. Yeah, I know. We watched that shit. And then RoboCop came out and pulled him out of the stupid. Yeah. Cheesy as fuck. I wasn't into that feud.
It's my finger good.
Oh, she's sucking on your finger. Trek is now joining us. How's it going, Trek?
About fucking time.
Good. How are you guys?
Trying to fucking get through this. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, if you get it to 7 o'clock, you got a half-hour episode.
Yeah, I know. It's almost there, too. In fact, I am at 30 minutes. I'll be at 30 minutes and 52 seconds.
Can I have my finger back?
What do you remember from this Sting Ric Flair feud, Trek?
Like I said, I remember starting being on the first Nitro, being on the last Nitro. I remember just those guys, blowing the roof off every single time they were wrestling. They never let anybody down. They were always awesome. I remember when it was supposedly the 4 Horsemen turning on Flair and Sting tagging together, and Sting said, "Don't screw me," and you know what happened? He screwed him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Clash of the Champions, of course, the first Clash where Sting was a made man. I mean, that was a fantastic event. Those guys never disappointed.
Right. I'm talking one-on-one feuds. Yes, TSS. Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express, that was a long-running feud too. But as far as singles feuds, this one here, I mean, just yeah. I get it though. Yeah. Nope. They did 2011. They wrestled at TNA, and I can't remember the pay-per-view. I think it was Slammiversary. I think they faced off.
I think so.
Can't remember. But I think Sting won that match.
Yeah.
And that was the last. That ended their feud. It was a one last time feud. I think it was a
One last run.
One last run kind of thing.
In TNA for Ric
Yep.
Flair anyway.
And then he went back to WWE right after
Yep.
that. But
And it wasn't long after that he had his retirement match with Shawn Michaels.
yeah, well, he was going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't have anything to add. Just the 45. If you have not watched it, go watch the 45-minute match. The very first match that them two had at the very first Clash of Champions. Phenomenal. It might even be on YouTube if you want to check it out. That is where Sting was made by Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
The character was created by Sting, but Sting, the wrestler, was made by Ric Flair. In summary, is what I'm getting at.
Until his transformation, which was by Scott Hall.
And then his second transformation
into the
Crow Sting was an idea by Scott Hall. Which if Scott Hall wouldn't have been a fucking druggie and all those fucking drugs and shit,
alcoholic,
I can probably fucking tell you right now he'd be fucking producing fucking WWE matches right now. That guy had a mind for booking shit.
And character development.
Just a genius. It's just too bad that he wasted his mind on drugs and alcohol. Heather, you want to add anything? Any final thoughts? I'm gonna end it here because I don't know.
There's really not much else to add. I mean, when it comes right down to it, yes, the longest running feud in WCW and in wrestling for singles in general, and one of the best as well. And when you have such natural talent within Ric Flair and the Sting, you get some great matches and some great memories.
Yeah, I still to this day I wanna every now and then I've gotta check out a Ric Flair Sting match. I just have to. It brings back memories for me. Bobbit, what about you?
All it is, you're going to have to check out a Sting Ric Flair match.
I'm gonna have to. Don't be dumb.
Too late.
How are my girls? Well, if you're talking about Wendy, she's fine, and Heather, she's fine, and Danielle's fine. So everybody's doing good. Trek, any final thoughts?
You know, when I was growing up, I never really knew about WCW. I knew about the invasion and stuff, so I didn't really get to see too much of the Ric Flair Sting stuff. So I got to see him on the last Nitro because I got the tape, but because they were head-to-head, of course, so I had to pick one or the other and stuff. But I'm glad now with the network we get to go back and watch some of their best matches. Like I said, they never had a bad match. Even when Flair got hurt in TNA during that last match, it was still a damn good match. It was just, you know, it was out of his control, but I think that's the rivalry to transcend all rivalries.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's my top three. Like I said, 1A, 1B, 1C. Sting, Dusty Rhodes. No, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. Flair, Sting, Austin McMahon.
Yeah.
Those are my top three feuds of all time. So, that being said, I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm pretty sure Heather's going to say the same thing coming here in a couple of weeks. There's going to be some changes to the channel. Now, that being said, Monday and Tuesdays will still be on my channel. But Wrestling Memories will be moving over to a new channel. I'm not going to tell you what that is because we don't know what it is yet. But you guys are going to like it. Me and quite a few others are going on a venture. You guys will like it. It won't just be wrestling content. I can tell you that. I can make promises on that right now. There will be sports content. There will be wrestling content. There will be parenting content,
Motivational
content. It's ultimately it's going to be a network. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. I'm just telling you that Wrestling Memories will be changing. Because what it's going to be, and I will reveal that when we get everything finalized, and I'm not going to tell you who's all on that show. I know Heather and I are going to be on there, and I know Bobbitt and Trek are going to be on there.
So there's going to be a few more surprises.
But there's going to be some more stuff, and we'll put that out. I just wanted to let you know that for right now, we're going to keep Wrestling Memories right here, but it will be going away. Next week on Wrestling Memories, I'm thinking...
And it's just WrestleMania matches, right? You said, or just favorite match of all time?
Oh, no, it's favorite match of all time.
Okay, good. Cause...
Next week, we'll be going over... I'm going to end the Rivalries segment. I couldn't think of any more that were really appealing to me. Next week, we're going to go over some of the favorite matches of the cast of Wrestling Memories, and we're going to actually watch the match, and we're going to discuss the feud surrounding that match, or at least try to. I can tell you what mine's going to be. My favorite match of all time is... My favorite match of all time. Now, this is different. My favorite match of all time is Austin Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. And I know Bobbitt's is going to take up the entire fucking show.
No, mine is.
Fucking Christ. What is it?
The first TLC match.
Well, we're going to do one week. We're not going to do fucking all of them in one fucking shot. Are you fucking crazy?
I said the very first one.
But Bobbitt's would probably take 4.5 fucking hours long because fucking match. Fuck Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Anyway.
It's the greatest match I've ever seen.
Whatever. You have to pick the longest fucking match ever.
Fine. Also, I don't fucking Omega Okada at the fucking Dominion a few years ago. For that one.
That was last year. The show will be fucking 6 hours long.
So, I could have done worse.
Yes, Ryan, we're going to actually watch the match itself, and then we're actually going to talk about the feud first, leading up to the match, and then we're going to watch the match. So it'll be fun. Now, if we run through those, because I know Heather's got hers. Trek, I don't give a fuck what yours is. Yours is probably fucking... What's your favorite match?
Probably Rock versus Triple H from Backlash 2000.
Of course, you'd pick that one, you fucking corporate fucking shill. Anyway. So we'll get all of them together, and then we'll actually do kind of like a watch-along. And we'll talk about the match and discuss it. So kind of like a live reaction kind of like type thing, except it's already happened. So we're going to actually... And I'm going to start, because I want to get it over with, I'm going to start with Bobbitt's first. Because I just want to get it the fuck over with, because I fucking... That match bored the shit out of me, I'm not going to lie. But okay, we'll do it. And no, it didn't make me fucking cry either. Everybody says the match that made you cry, and everybody picked that one. What the fuck is wrong with people? Everybody knew Ric Flair was losing that match. Anybody that didn't... But what...
I didn't at the time.
What?
I didn't at the time.
That's because you didn't pay any attention to the story. But anyway, so that's what we're going to do next week. So that being said, I'm going to end the show here. Heather will be doing her show, and that'll be up. That's why I'm ending it now, so that she can set up her show. I think she's set up, but so she can do her thing, switch things over. So with that being said, it's going to be on Tattooed Mistress, correct?
Yes.
It's going to be on the Tattooed Mistress channel. If you haven't subscribed to that, please get over there and do so. I don't know what she's got planned. She hasn't told me. I kind of have an idea of what she's going to talk about. It might involve everybody's favorite fucking topic of the last couple of days.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It'll be...
Bobby, are you fucking naked?
No, why?
Does it look like you're fucking freeballing? But anyway.
Oh, I got shorts on.
Okay.
Freeballing.
With that being said, I'm gonna end it. Yes, 8 p.m. It'll be your time too. How's the baby? She's sitting right here. You want to see her, Justin? I don't think Justin's ever seen Wendy.
I don't think so either.
And here's the baby. The baby's doing fine. She's being quiet for the first time in a long time. Isn't that right? Yeah. But she's doing fine. She feels a little warm, but she's doing fine.
Told you.
You want to say something, Wendy? Bye, everybody. Y'all are fucking weird for hanging out with this guy. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night, all right? If you drink,